Dr. Chris.
And he's Dr. Zand.
And yes, we're identical twins.
Do you know your body does heaps of amazing things every single day?
That is incredible.
And we're going to show you how.
Oh, you've cut him in half.
We've got incredible experiments.
Wow. And real-life medical emergencies.
There's a big chunk of me leg missing.
Ouch!
We'll be turning our bodies inside out.
Oh, yuck! To show you what you're made of.
You should see a doctor. Better go find one. Dr. Zand.
Coming up today on Operation...
Ouch!
We find out why Chris is having afternoon tea in the lab.
That's delicious. Tea is my absolute favourite thing.
Our portable clinic is open for business.
Can I have the next patient, please?
And we take you to the front line with paramedics saving lives.
We need to get there as quick as possible.
But first...
In the emergency department, the team are ready for their first patient. Let's meet him.
At the Royal Manchester Children's Hospital, Jack is in with his mum and dad, but it's no ordinary day for him.
My birthday today and I'm 9.
Well, happy birthday, fella. But what's brought you into hospital on your special day?
A sausage finger.
Ooh, I love sausages.
Not this kind, Zand. Look away now if you're squeamish, because that's a photo of Jack's finger on his mum's phone.
Ugh.
Not your ordinary sausage. Let's find out how the birthday boy's digit got damaged.
It was an ordinary Saturday.
Hang on, Zand. I thought it was Jack's birthday.
Oh yeah, it was the most special day of the year.
That's more like it.
Jack received some money for his birthday, and the plan was to buy a special toy.
A flying dinosaur, perhaps.
Awesome! So Jack hopped in the car and headed straight to the toy shop.
Sounds harmless. Where's this story going, Zand?
To the toy shop, Chris.
Whoa! Did you see that?
But when he arrived, Jack got out of the car, and in the excitement, he closed the door on his finger.
Ouch! But what about Jack's birthday party, Mum?
We can't celebrate the birthday today, so we're going to have another one when his finger's better.
2 birthdays. Result.
On hand to mend Jack's mitt is Dr. Anne Markey.
Right, shall we have a look at this finger then?
Tell the lady what I call your finger.
Sausage finger. Sausage finger.
You won't be having sausages for birthday tea then?
No.
That's Mum's dinner plans out the window.
You can say you've been fighting crocodiles.
Crocodiles?
There's well-known crocodiles in Manchester.
I had no idea.
She's just kidding, Zand.
Phew. But how is Dr. Anne going to fix the damaged digit?
We'll take that nail off. Underneath the nail where you can see the bruise, it's likely that there's a laceration there, a cut in the nail bed. So we'll put some stitches in. We'll probably put the nail back on, but it's not there to retake or regrow. It's just there to protect them.
All that will happen in an operation tomorrow. In the meantime, to stop any infection, Jack's having his whole hand bandaged up.
That's like a sandwich.
Sausage boy.
Sausage button.
I love a sausage butty too.
Well, that's the hard work done for today. And then we'll let you go home for some special birthday tea.
Ooh, can we come?
We'll see you tomorrow.
We'll see you before your operation.
And now to our lab for some amazing body experiments. Ugh!
Whoa.
Just don't try anything you see here at home.
Cup of tea, Chris? Oh, I'd love a cup of tea. Is this for me?
Yeah.
I
Made it specially.
That's delicious. Tea is my absolute favourite thing. Are you having one? No, all for you.
I'm purposely making Chris drink lots of tea. Shh, don't tell him. You'll find out the reason later.
Now, today in the lab, we're going to be looking at the bit of your body which holds your wee or urine, your bladder. Now, over here, we've got a pig's bladder from the butcher's, but it's almost exactly the same as a human one. Your body needs liquid, and it takes it out of everything you eat and drink, along with lots of nutrients. Drink up, Chris. Don't let your tea go cold. But there's always a bit of waste liquid left over that isn't needed, and that's sent to your bladder as wee.
This is what happens when your bladder is full of wee. It can actually hold up to 1 litre of liquid. That's almost the same as 2 pints of milk.
There we go. If I use the torch, you can see just how full the bladder is. And if you think of how small it was when we started, that's pretty amazing.
In the wall of the bladder, there are lots of fibres, and some of these fibres are muscle fibres.
That's right, you can actually see the muscle fibres all over the wall of the bladder here. And what that means is that the bladder can withstand the force of more and more wee, filling it up.
As your bladder fills, it stretches, and sensors in the muscle wall tell your brain you need to go to the loo.
Right, now, are you sure I can't get you another cup of tea? I've got Earl Grey, lemon, herbal.
Absolutely not. My bladder is sending lots of signals to my brain telling me to go to the toilet, and I do feel like I'm going to burst.
Perfect, that's exactly what I wanted.
Hang on a minute. Have you been giving me all this tea for an experiment?
How can I put this? Yes.
I've been giving Chris lots of tea because I want to use his bladder to show you what happens when we empty it. I'm going to use an ultrasound so that we can see what Chris's bladder looks like now that it's full.
Now, what you're looking at here, these top layers are Chris's tummy muscles, and then below here, this big black blob, that's all of Chris's bladder. It's full of clear liquid, which is urine. Now, the reason Chris needs to go so badly is because the sensors in his bladder wall are detecting all the stretching, and this is known as the micturition reflex, the point at which you really, really have to go.
I think pretty confidently I can say that I'm about to feel the micturition reflex.
All right, go ahead then.
What, here in the lab?
Just this once, on one occasion, you're allowed to pee in the lab, Chris.
I think I'd better, because I don't think I'm going to make it to the toilet.
I'm going to hold the ultrasound scanner against my bladder while I'm weeing so you can see it shrinking as I go to the loo.
OK, Chris, let your micturition reflex go. We can see on the ultrasound that Chris's bladder is shrinking, and that's because the muscle fibres are pressing on the bladder, forcing the wee out.
God, that's great. And you can't see his bladder anymore at all. Completely empty. So how much did you go?
You want to see?
Yeah. Wow. So how much is that?
About a litre.
It's quite a lot.
So the amazing thing is that my bladder's gone from being this size to so small that we can hardly see it on the ultrasound.
And it's those muscle fibres in the bladder that force all the urine out. But be warned, if you hold in your wee for too long, the muscles in the bladder can weaken, making it harder for it to empty itself.
So when the call of nature comes, it's absolutely vital that you answer it. Hey, Chris, I really feel like a cup of tea. I think it's your turn to make it. Now, don't forget to warm the pot. And what I'd like, I think I'd like Earl Grey, maybe jasmine. I think we've got some of that.
Now we're getting out and about with our mobile clinic.
Today we're at a theme park to help solve your medical mysteries.
If you're anxious about an ailment,
Or curious about a condition,
then the Ouchmobile is the place for you.
That is incredible.
Zand is preparing the clinic ready for his first patient.
And Chris is out in the park to answer your burning questions.
The clinic is now open for business.
Can I have the next patient, please?
First in is 8-year-old Grace, who's had an eyeful of her ailment.
So, Grace, what's brought you to the Ouchmobile today?
When I fall asleep and wake up, my eyes get all crusty and red.
Diagnosis, please, Doc.
Sounds like a case of when I fall asleep and wake up, my eyes get really crusty and red-itis.
That's exactly what I'd say.
What we can see is your eyelids are quite red and inflamed, and you've got those little crusty bits in your eyelashes. So you've actually got a problem called blepharitis. So it is a real itis in this case.
What can I do about it?
The first thing is getting a towel and just soaking your eyelids, and that makes the crust a bit easier to remove. And then sometimes you do get these big flare-ups. In that case, obviously you need to go to the doctor, and they can either give you some drops or they can give you some antibiotic pills as well. Well, the good news though is that it's not really serious.
Thank you, Dr. Sand.
Away from the clinic, Chris is out and about in the park, solving your medical mysteries.
Why doesn't hair grow back on scars?
That's because when you're born, you've got a certain number of hair follicles, and you can never grow any more hair follicles. So if we cut your skin, When that bit of skin heals, you get the scar, but there are no cells that produce hair there. So you will always have a small bald bit.
Why is your funny bone called your funny bone? And why is it when you bang it, there's a tingle?
So in fact, you're both asking the same question. And the funny thing about your funny bone is it's not a bone, it's a nerve. And it's your ulnar nerve, and it runs through a little groove there, which you can feel. And when you bang the nerve, you get that tingling going all the way down your arm. That's what feels funny.
Back at the Ultramobile, there's a new case in the waiting room.
Next patient, please.
And it's 7-year-old Bobby with the story about his skin.
So, Bobby, why have you come to the Ouchmobile today?
I wanted to show you my leopard spot.
You've got a leopard spot.
Look at that. Diagnosis, please, Doc.
Sounds to me like a case of I've got a leopard spotitis.
Spot on.
That is a real leopard spot, and it's very interesting. It's a birthmark, right? You've had it since you were born. Most birthmarks are dark in colour, and this one is mostly light in colour. So it's what we call hypopigmented. It means it's got less ink in it, effectively.
So what causes it?
In your skin, you've got cells called melanocytes, and they make your skin brown. So when you've got a patch of very pale skin like you've got there, it means it's got very few melanocytes in it at all. And that started when you were just a tiny ball of cells inside your mum, and since then, you've had that birthmark. So I don't think there's anything you need to worry about at all. It's just a really cool looking birthmark.
Job done for today. Clinic closed.
Still to come. Chris goes on call with the UK's emergency services.
So the call's just come in about an 83-year-old woman.
We've got more first aid tips.
Uh-oh, Zahnt's gone pale and unresponsive.
And Chris has a rather unusual hospital appointment.
It's like being inspected by a really nosy robot.
Time to head back to Accident and Emergency to catch up with Jack and his sausage finger. Oh, I love sausages. Do you think he's got any ketchup?
Let's see him get fixed. In Manchester, 9-year-old Jack is back in hospital waiting for an operation, and he's brought along a new friend.
Now I don't have a sausage finger, I have Cyril.
Hello, Cyril.
Cyril is protecting Jack's cut finger, and this is how it was damaged.
It was Jack's birthday, and he'd been given some money to buy a gift at the toy shop. When they arrived, Jack got out of the car, and in the excitement, he closed the car door on his finger. Ouch!
Jack's operation is just moments away, so Cyril's days are numbered. Tell him, Dad.
You're going to lose Cyril, aren't you?
Never mind, Jack.
Jack's on his way to have his operation.
And there's no sign of nerves from our patient. In fact, he's cracking jokes.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Done a poo.
Done a poo! Get it?
I think Cyril enjoyed that one too.
Time to prepare Jack for theatre. To make sure he doesn't feel any of the procedure, the doctor gives him some anaesthetic.
Dr. Anne Markey and Dr. Adeyinka Malajo are performing Jack's surgery.
First, they thoroughly clean Jack's hand. The next step is to remove the nail so they can stitch up the finger.
And remember, Jack can't feel a thing.
Before he can start to stitch, Dr. Adeyinka takes out any little bits of dirt and broken nails stuck in the wound.
Next, he stitches the cut before gluing back on the nail. And there's just enough time for a quick trim.
With the nail in place, a protective gauze is put around the tip of Jack's finger to stop the bandage sticking to the wound. Time to wrap that sausage finger back up.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
How's the op, Doc?
That went really well. He's got another sausage finger for a couple of weeks till that gets better.
On the recovery ward, Jack's wide awake. So, how was your snooze?
I had like this dream when I was in an action figure movie.
An action figure movie? Cool. But are you missing Cyril?
Since Cyril's gone, I have a new sausage finger.
He's forgotten Cyril already.
I know. And it looks like he's about to take that sausage finger home.
Bye, Jack.
Bye.
It's not only teams in hospitals that deal with medical emergencies.
All over the UK, there are teams of paramedics on standby, ready to help.
We're on call with the UK Emergency Services, showing you what it's really like on the front line saving lives.
paramedics use state-of-the-art vehicles like this to respond to medical emergencies within minutes. And today, I'm going with them to see what it's like to be first on the scene.
On call with me is paramedic Jan Van. She can do 20 emergency call-outs in a day.
And a new case has come through.
So a call's just come in about an 83-year-old woman with one of her legs swollen. So we need to get there as quick as possible.
Following a fall 3 days ago, Doreen's leg has swollen up and she's not been able to leave the house. Her daughter is concerned something serious could be wrong.
We need to see if that knee needs draining. It's quite swollen, isn't it, in comparison to the other one?
To have her leg properly looked at, she'll need to go to hospital.
5157, can I have Amber back up, please, Eva? So I'll arrange for an ambulance to come and pick you up. I'll do your blood pressure and... You look gorgeous, Doreen. You look gorgeous.
Have you had any clots before?
No.
No.
Not so I know of.
One of the main things I think might be going on is she might have a clot, which can happen in older people. And in her legs, that doesn't cause her too much problem, but it can be dangerous if it moves from the legs and goes to the lungs.
With the ambulance on its way, we have time to do some important tests that will help the hospital when Doreen gets there.
Doreen, this is a tracing of your heart, and you can see it's nice and regular.
That's something's right.
All the lines are the right way up and the right height, and they look fine.
This is Doreen. Had a fall on Saturday. Pain in her left knee with swelling left lower leg.
The ambulance crew have arrived, and Doreen's in great shape. She's really cheery, but she has got this knee pain, so we need to get her to hospital, fix the pain, and then she can come home again.
We've got what's called a striker chair to get Doreen downstairs on, and it's a special design chair that has runners rather than wheels, so it can slide down the stairs.
What do you think of this, Doreen? I've never seen one of these before. I might get one myself.
Doreen's an amazing woman, but today her leg's a bit swollen. She can't walk around as easily as normal, so she's going to get to hospital. And luckily, when she needed help, Jan and the amazing chair were here to give it.
With hundreds of rapid response crews in the UK, if you have an accident, an emergency service like this won't be far away.
Did you know you carry around 5 litres of blood in your body all the time? It's one of the things that helps keep your organs warm.
Wow! And talking of keeping warm...
The British weather, it's so hard to predict. At the moment, the sun is shining and it's hot, hot, hot.
And I always like to be the first to break out the shorts and sun cream.
You've missed a bit. But you never know how long the sunshine is going to last. At any moment, the sun could go in.
Don't think so, Chris. It's actually quite a nice day.
And once the sun's gone in, it could start getting chilly, and that could be dangerous. At any moment, it could bucket down with rain.
Well, actually, Chris, I did bring an umbrella for that very eventuality.
And in this country, even on a day like today, it could hail.
Hail?
Which is why you should always pack an extra layer of dry clothes, isn't it, Zand? Zand? Uh-oh, Zand's gone pale and unresponsive. This looks like hypothermia.
So, what should you do if someone is really cold and you think they may have hypothermia? A. Use them as a giant ice cube in your drink. B. Call 999, warm the person by wrapping them in a blanket and give them warm drinks and chocolate. Or C. Enter them into a talent show as a novelty shivering act.
What did this lot think?
B. Wrap them in a blanket and call 999.
Emily's absolutely right. Have a look at this.
Let's sit you down. Now, how cold are you?
I'm freezing.
Are your lips blue?
Yeah, blue
You
lips.
think his lips blue? Yes, his lips are blue. Let's get you a blanket.
Also, we can give him a hot drink and chocolate bar.
Sometimes the person may even be confused.
So, do you know who you are?
I'm Dr. Chris.
Oh dear, looks like he's a bit confused and he's not going to be able to warm himself up, even with the blanket or with the tea. I think we need more help. Ring, ring. Ring, ring.
Emergency services, what's the problem?
I thought you were hypothermic.
I'm just doing the emergency services bit.
Oh, I see. OK. It's Dr. Chris here. I've got an emergency. I want the ambulance, please.
Oh, right. Whereabouts are you?
I'm at the Operation Out School.
We'll get an ambulance to you straight away.
Thank you. So now we'll just look after you, and if we can, we'll take off his wet clothes and move him indoors.
Who's up for treating someone with hypothermia?
They're keen.
Now remember, we're showing you what to do in an emergency, but it's always best to find an adult.
OK, so what else do you need to do now?
Get us some hot cocoa.
Hot cocoa.
And some chocolate.
And chocolate bar, lovely.
Do you know where you are? Library.
In the library? We're not in the library, are we? What do we want to do?
Call 999.
Yeah, I think we better do that.
So, if you think someone has hypothermia, you should warm the person by wrapping a blanket or towel around them and give them warm drinks and high-energy foods such as chocolate.
Son, what are you doing? We've finished. You don't have to keep stuffing your face with chocolate. You haven't got hypothermia anymore.
Oh, right, OK. Oh, look at that dog over there.
A dog? I want to see this.
Ouch! Now just take the bandage. Just take it. Ugh, this is ridiculous. I thought medical robotics was the future, but I can't even teach this one the basics.
Zon, this isn't a medical robot. It's a toy. But would you like to see a real medical robot?
Would I?
Time for Investigation Ouch. Hey, I told you not to sneak up on me like that. Now this is Gary. Now he may look big and tough, but in fact, he's a big softie. Aren't you, Gary?
Here at the Royal Marsden Hospital in London, Gary treats people by zapping tumour cells.
Bodies are made up of billions of cells, but sometimes they can go wrong and forget to stop growing. And that's what a tumour is, a bunch of cells that have forgotten to stop growing.
And Gary has special powers that can help get rid of tumours. Doctors use beams of energy called radiation to destroy bad tumour cells. Unfortunately, sometimes nice normal cells living close by can get destroyed too. And that's where Gary comes in. He delivers a beam of radiation as thin as a pin, that's so precise it avoids the good cells and kills only the bad ones. And here to explain more about Gary's powers is Dr. Nicholas Van Az.
Nick, I recognise some of this. We've got a spinal column and the hips, but what is the pink lump with the blue lines?
So we call this picture a hedgehog, which is just a map, essentially, showing us where each beam of radiation is going to come in. So the blue lines represent one dose of radiation from the machine, and the pink in the middle is the tumour that we're trying to get rid of. Instead of using maybe 1 or 2 beams of radiation, we're using many hundreds of beams. The whole aim is to try and do as much damage to the bad bit and do as little damage as we can to the good bits.
Time to see Gary in action with me in the hot seat. Here to assist his operator, Helen Taylor.
How long does a typical treatment take?
Most treatments take about 45 minutes to an hour.
Do people get bored or anxious? What's it like? Should I worry?
No, there's nothing to worry about and you don't feel anything.
Gary won't be beaming any radiation at me, but you will get to see some of his cool moves.
It's like being inspected by a really nosy robot.
Using his laser eye to guide him, Gary is able to attack the tumour cells from many different angles.
And every time he stops, that's when he'd deliver a dose of radiation to a tumour right in the middle of my head.
By zapping the tumour in this way, Gary gets the job done super fast.
Historically, if we wanted to give enough dose to try and get rid of this, we might have had to give it treatment every day for 6 weeks. With this, because we can give these high doses very accurately, we can do this treatment over 3 days.
And that makes Gary robotastic.
Patients can spend much less time in hospital and more time doing the things they love. This is one smart robot.
In accident and emergency, doctors and nurses need to act fast.
Especially when things like this happen.
In the waiting room is 7-year-old Sally, who seems to have misplaced her pocket money.
I have swallowed a coin
Go on.
and I don't know how to get it out.
Well, how did you get it in?
Well, Zand, what happened was Sally's mum gave Sally a £1 coin for her pocket money.
Ah, nice. Did she put it in her piggy bank?
No.
Did she buy 100 penny sweets with it?
Nope.
Did she use it to hire a supermarket trolley?
No, Zond. Sally decided to use the coin to play catch with. She threw the coin higher and higher.
Wow, that is very high.
I know, Zond.
I'm not sure the Queen's enjoying the ride.
And when the coin finally came back down, Sally ran forward to catch it, but it missed her hands and went straight in her mouth.
Ouch.
Don't worry, Sally. Here's Dr. Alan Grayson. Let's see if he can help you get a refund.
Since you swallowed the pound coin, how has your breathing been?
It's been okay.
Can I have a little listen to your chest? Is that all right? You take some big breaths like you've been running.
Dr. Alan needs to check that the coin isn't affecting Sally's breathing, because that could be dangerous.
When you swallow something like a nut, it goes down your throat, into your esophagus or food pipe, and then into your stomach. And Sally's coin may have done the same journey, but it could go down her trachea or windpipe and end up in her lungs, which would cause her to choke.
That all sounds normal.
Good news, but Dr. Alan needs to find out exactly where in her body that coin is, so it's off to X-ray.
So this is my camera, so I'm just going to see if we can see your coin.
Show me the money.
There it is. What do you think, Nurse Faye?
Definitely swallowed a coin.
The coin was in my belly.
And that means it's past her windpipe and there's no risk of it ending up in her lungs. So it's back to Dr. Alan to find out how to remove the coin.
It's going to come all the way through your tummy and out into the toilet, probably in about 2 to 3 days' time.
Is something on your mind, Sally?
What if it fell in the toilet and it was very dirty?
What we usually say to people is don't try and get it back out of the toilet.
Well, I've heard of spending a penny, but never a pound.
If I go to the toilet, the money will, like, appear in the toilet.
That's money down the drain. Try keeping your pounds in your purse next time, Sally. Bye!
Next time on Operation Ouch.
We take a dip, all in the name of science.
This is hot. We're ouching about solving your medical mysteries.
I see the next patient.
And Zahn faces a lie detector test. Is he telling the truth?
I like to do ballet dancing.
Okay.
We'll see you next time for more Operation Ouch. In the emergency department, the team are ready for their first patient. Have you been giving me all this tea for an experiment?
How can I put this? Yes.
He's Dr. Chris.
And he's Dr. Zahn.
And yes, we're identical twins.
Do you know your body does heaps of amazing things every single day?
That is incredible.
And we're going to show you how.
Oh, you've cut him in half.
We've got incredible experiments.
Wow! And real-life medical emergencies.
There's a big chunk of me leg missing.
Ouch! We'll be turning our bodies inside out.
Oh, yuck! To show you what you're made of.
You should see a doctor. Better go find one.
Dr. Zand.
Coming up today on Operation
Ouch!
We find out why Chris is having afternoon tea in the lab.
That's delicious. Tea is my absolute favourite thing.
Our portable clinic is open for business.
Can I have the next patient, please?
And we take you to the front line with paramedics saving lives.
We need to get there as quick as possible.
But first...
In the emergency department, the team are ready for their first patient. Let's meet him.
At the Royal Manchester Children's Hospital, Jack is in with his mum and dad, but it's no ordinary day for him.
My birthday today and I'm 9.
Well, happy birthday, fella. But what's brought you into hospital on your special day?
a sausage finger.
Ooh, I love sausages.
Not this kind, Zand. Look away now if you're squeamish, because that's a photo of Jack's finger on his mum's phone.
Ugh.
Not your ordinary sausage. Let's find out how the birthday boy's digit got damaged.
It was an ordinary Saturday.
Hang on, Zand. I thought it was Jack's birthday.
Oh yeah, it was the most special day of the year.
That's more like it.
Jack received some money for his birthday, and the plan was to buy a special toy.
A flying dinosaur, perhaps.
Awesome! So Jack hopped in the car and headed straight to the toy shop.
Sounds harmless. Where's this story going, Zand?
To the toy shop, Chris.
Whoa! Did you see that?
But when he arrived, Jack got out of the car, and in the excitement, he closed the door on his finger.
Ouch! But what about Jack's birthday party, Mum?
We can't celebrate the birthday